Welcome to Monster Men.
Ah!
That was a great art. Okay, coming to us from an undisclosed bunker location somewhere in the United States is our special guest, Robert Holt, author of a children's horror novel called The Vegetarian Werewolf, also part of an upcoming documentary called Scary Stories, and also author of an adult horror novel, Death's Disciple. So we're very excited about this. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Oh, it's so good to have somebody who actually writes horror for children. As opposed to horror with children in it.
Yeah. There's not enough children horror, I don't think.
Right.
I think children love horror.
You know what? Everything that we grew up on was absolutely horrific. Everything from Disney and Aesop's Fables and everybody. It was just terrifying.
I mean, the first real character children learn is a monster. It's Elmo. He's a monster.
Including the guy with his hand up inside him.
Right. I mean, I remember one of the scariest books I thought whenever I was 4 or 5 was There's a Monster at the End of This Book. You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
Grover?
Yep. I remember that. No, that's true. I mean, kids grow up.
I think for me, the first real scary presence was the witch in The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah.
And we did like a Women of Horror countdown, and she was my #1 woman of horror, because I think when you're a little kid, you're petrified of her. Some people, it's the monkeys.
Monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know about you, and this is where I wanted to talk about children. I would definitely want to hear about your book, but let's lead with just this whole idea of horror for children kind of cracks me up, because if you watch our show, me and him, when we were like 7, 8 years old, we're watching Creature Feature Channel 9 at midnight Christopher Lee movies.
Oh, yeah.
That we were too young to really watch, but we were. And we were going to the library and reading books about the Universal monsters and the Dracula myth and the Hammer monsters, and maybe Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein is like my gateway drug to horror.
Oh, yeah.
It's then like now you've got stuff like Goosebumps and things like that are specifically for kids, and I'm wondering, is that taking the edge off kids and not making horror fans like us, or is it breeding a whole new generation of horror fans?
Well, I think it's breeding a whole new generation. I mean, I think that started well before Goosebumps, though. I mean, I think that goes back to Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
Scooby Doo started that, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean, I think kids are getting this little bit of taste of it, and then diving in for more. They want the scarier stuff.
Hey, I have a daughter who is Lydia from Beetlejuice, so that kid has been all into horror, and she's gone from, the middle grade horror to the YA horror, and now she's full on. She's watching ABC's of Death 2 with me yesterday. So I mean, this kid just loves horror, but it's cool that she has this gradation process where she can dip your toe a little bit, and then it gets a little more severe and a little more, and now she's like, she's loving the full genre, the full adult genre, really, at this point.
Yeah, but like my daughter's favorite movie, one of her favorite movies right now is Ghostbusters. The original Ghostbusters. It's. I remember when I watched it when I was a little kid, it scared me. She watches it and it's not so scary to her.
It's tougher than Dad.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of one of the things that scared me as a kid was the special effects. And kids now, those special effects, that's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a nice gateway for kids too, because it's funny, but It's got some good horror elements to it. I think a lot of things like Monster Squad and things like that are good.
Right.
They're humorous.
Yeah, unlike me walking hand in hand with my dad to the 3 blocks to the theater to watch The Exorcist when I was 6.
Oh, jeez.
And then when it was all done, you better pay attention to the nuns and priests when you go to school tomorrow.
It's funny though. Like I would go to the library and I would always seek out the monster books, movie monsters, and the historical Dracula and all that other stuff. But we used to get these flyers for books you could buy, like every year, and I got this like when I was like in second grade. I got like How Spider Saved Halloween, because I love Halloween and I love the thought of a spider, and it was the goofiest thing in the world. But it's Halloween, so like for me, anything that was horror related, I gravitated to. So let's hear about the vegetarian werewolf.
Yeah, tell us about how did you come up with this concept, because it's really cool how you did it.
Basically it's just stories that I told to my daughter. My daughter's 5 now, and just stories that I would tell to her, and she would. I would know if they were getting too scary, because she would. Okay, you need to stop.
Well, she slept in bed with us tonight, so I guess that went a little too far.
But I knew I had a good story whenever the next night I came back in, and she's like, "Tell me about the dirt monsters again." It's like, all right, I got one.
You know what? What's cool about the book itself, because I've written a children's book, and I'm working on middle grade children's horror. There are a lot of rules.
Yeah.
With writing for children, and your book, it's not a picture book per se. No. Where, a picture book is usually like 500 words or less, and it's got a lot of pictures or whatever.
Right.
It's not a middle grade book per se either, because it's written like a collection of like Grimm's fairy tales.
Yeah.
It's a modern day Grimm's fairy tales with some cool illustrations. So it's outside of the parameters of what they tell you have to do for kids.
Yeah, it's stories that parents will have to read to the kids. But
what's the age?
And it's for that age group where they're not quite reading for themselves. Right. But it kind of has to stand alone and kind of work without the pictures with just the script. I mean, we do have illustrations in there. We do have 7 or 8 pictures, and just to help things along. But
what age range would you put this book for?
I would say 7 to 4.
That's right in that picture book wheelhouse, but it's not a picture book, which is cool. It's something that a parent can read to their child and let their imagination take it from there, which I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, my daughter's 2 favorite books right now are kind of in this similar type mold, where no pictures, just kind of things that we read to her, and she can kind of get the image in her own head.
That's great.
So that's kind of what I went for. Kind of bedtime stories type thing.
Right. Good night. I'm turning off the light now.
But there's an interesting balance whenever you're writing for this age, because you have 2 audiences. You have to write for the child. You have to make it a story that the child's going to want, and the child's going to say, "Read me that one again." But at the same time, you have to make it to where it's not too scary, to where the parent's not going to say, "Yeah, we're not going to read this one ever again." You have that double audience.
That is so hard to do. I mean, people think... I in the time it took me to write one children's book, I wrote 3 adult horror books with no problem. But a children's book that had less than 1,000 words took me like 3 years of going back and forth with an editor.
I hear you. I feel your pain.
How did you go about the publication process? Like, did you query a bunch of editors and agents? Like, how did it happen for you?
Well, I actually I edit for Grey Wolf Publishing.
Yeah.
I do editing work for them, and they kind of just came to me and said, "Hey, do you have anything you want to publish with us?" And I was, at the time, I didn't, and it was like, but I had these stories I've been telling to my daughter, and I was recording them with my phone as I told them to her.
Oh, wow.
Especially when I got a good one. Whenever she let me know that this one was good, the next night when I told it to her again, I'd record it. So I had 6 of them on my phone. It's like, you know what? I think I might have something for you. Not my usual thing, but I bounced it off them, and they loved it. So
that's really using modern day technology to write a book. Awesome. So you're making this stuff up and just telling stories to your daughter, and you got your phone on and you're recording yourself, and a book comes out of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Absolutely awesome.
Now, is the book out or is it coming out?
It's out now. It came out last weekend. I caught a plane to Detroit, and we had a nice little book launch there, and with all the other books that Werewolf put out, and yeah. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yes. Now, is it in hardcover or is it
no, it's paperback.
Okay, cool.
So.
And Vegetarian Werewolf is a great title because, just like you were saying, it's got enough edge, but it doesn't have enough teeth to really scare a kid.
Right. But what I found is on Twitter, whenever I tweet about it, it's the vegetarian groups that retweet it the most and kind of get behind it. So it's like, great, got that market going for me too. And it is kind of, my wife is a vegan, my daughter's a vegetarian. I'm the cook in the family, and I don't like cooking 2 meals, so I'm a vegan at home. So it's kind of also, all the stories are things that, that my daughter would approve of too. The morals of the stories, because that is that age group where you have to have the morals in there.
Yeah, I think you might be the first vegan horror writer I know.
Well, I'm not a vegan. I'm just
I just cook that way.
Now,
only at home. Yes, exactly. I only cook that way.
Katie Stewart did the illustrations. Is that a friend of yours, or was that somebody that you were connected with?
Yeah, it was just someone that the publisher hooked up with, and she did a great job.
Yeah, the illustrations are really nice.
Thank you.
I think they're beautiful.
Now, as far as the documentary, tell us a little bit about that. Scary Stories.
All right, yeah. Well, it started, I guess, about a year and a couple months ago, where my friend Cody came to me and said, "Hey, I'm looking into making a documentary about the Scary Stories books. Would you like to be involved? And can you watch my dog for a month?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely." Wait, what? But yeah. So we're trying to get this going. Right now we got about $4,700 raised on the Indiegogo site, but we're looking to try to get about 28,000. So we still got a long way to go.
If people go to that site, they can donate.
Yes.
Okay, so yes. We'll put the web address up on this.
Great, thank you.
If you watch this show, you know you read these books and you love these books.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, have you been in touch with Alvin Schwartz?
We have not, or at least I have not. I imagine Cody probably has reached out to him. Cody's gonna run in that aspect of it, and I'm just more or less along for the ride.
It's weird. I'm a writer, and I would be more interested in talking to Stephen Jamel, who did the art, because the art is
the art's what made the books what they are.
Yeah.
And the kind of the aspect of the documentary is going to be a lot about banned books and why books get banned, especially books like this, children's books.
Right.
So that's one of the books wouldn't have been banned if it wasn't for the art. I mean,
no, the art is absolutely.
There wouldn't have been any outcry at all. I mean,
yeah.
So I'm not that familiar with this. So what exactly happened with these books?
Oh my God!
Show them some of the art.
Yeah, I'm going to show you, man.
These are.
It's just. I mean,
this is children's books.
This is what I'm talking about.
And there are all these children's short stories, and I mean, the artwork is just terrifying for little kids. My daughter was scared crapless when she read these when she was little. And now, I mean, even I read these, and I love watching. I love reading them, and I love looking at the illustrations.
Yeah, they're great books. The art really had, they re-released them with different artwork. And
yeah, I heard that.
They just not so good.
I probably made it very PC.
Right.
There's some non-scary stuff for your kids, but anyway. kids can handle more than people think.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, and even then, parents are always afraid of nightmares. That's kind of a fear for parents. It's not so much a fear for kids, I don't think. My daughter, when she has a nightmare, she wakes up, she gets a drink of water, she goes back to sleep.
They'll have nightmares no matter what.
It's me that gets woken up and can't get back to sleep for an hour and a half.
Exactly. And then
so I understand why parents don't want their kids to have nightmares, but I mean, the dreams are kind of a way of our brains processing things. I don't.
You could wrap them in bubble wrap and show them nothing but Teletubbies, and they're gonna have nightmares. It doesn't.
Oh yeah. I have nightmares from the Teletubbies, though. And that's.
Ooh, that's scary. So, Robert, when you were a kid, what was the horror like? What was your sort of horror journey? Like, what did you start with, and what did you?
Well, I started with things like Scooby Doo, and kind of worked my way up. Monster Squad was one of my favorite movies, but one of the things that really got me into horror and kind of made me it's something I just obsessed over as a child was Michael Jackson's Thriller video.
Really?
That terrified me as a child. Yeah, I watched that thing a million times. I had the VHS of it.
It was like other guys.
That was a great zombie. That was like a little zombie flick with music.
Yeah. So I actually have to credit that video with a lot of my movement into horror. And then as I got a little bit older, I fell in love with the movie Nightbreed, I guess, around middle school.
Yeah.
Led me down that dark path of Clive Barker.
Nightbreed has the director's cut. Clive Barker's version is now on Netflix.
It's on Netflix now?
Yeah.
No way. I knew it was out on DVD and Blu-ray. I didn't know it was on Netflix.
Yeah, you get to see it kind of the way he envisioned it now. I haven't watched it yet. I'm like saving it for a special day.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that really soon.
I always talk about in my childhood, besides the horror movies I was watching, I think part of the journey was the Munsters and the Addams Family.
Oh, sure.
Giving you horror.
Jack's 72 years old. By the way.
Yeah. And then you had Count Chocula was one of my friends growing up. But I think one of the, I was watching movies, and so was Hunter, that were above our age range way before we should have been. But I know one of the, I remember reading Dracula, and like wow, this is a grown-up book. And it was a lot different than I expected it. But I think one of the novels that really was one of the first horror novels I read that I was like really affected was Pet Sematary.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's a scary one.
I was probably a teenager when I read that, like early teen.
And you know what's funny? I spent a lot of time in Maine where he wrote that novel. So
really?
It was funny. I was in a bookstore in the town where we go to. It's a little independent bookstore, and Stephen King comes in a lot. But one day I'm sitting and I'm by the counter and I'm selling my books, and I hear a guy go, I'm looking for a book for my mother. It was a mystery I was reading on my late shift. I'm like, holy crap, it's the guy from Pet Sematary. It's Ed Quinn.
Herman Munster.
Yeah. And then I looked up, and he looked kind of like, he had the overalls, he had the cap on or whatever. And I said, hey, I'm selling these books. He goes, no, I don't like horror.
Sometimes dead is better.
Yes, sometimes dead is better. Exactly.
Yeah.
Al Lewis would have bought your book.
We took my daughter to Colorado like a year and a half ago, and we went to the Stanley Hotel.
You took her to the Stanley?
Yeah, and she ran. I whispered in her ear, and next thing you know, she was running around the entire hotel, running up to strangers, going, "Red rum."
Oh my God! You should have had her standing at the entrance, going, "Come play with me." Sick.
How was the Stanley Hotel? I'd love to go there.
Oh yeah, it was great. From seeing them, we watched the movie right before we went too, and you get this vision that it's this enormous place, and I mean it's a big hotel, but it's pretty far from the biggest hotel I've ever been in.
So like you mentioned this. It's my autograph Sometimes dead is better.
Nice.
I've got too much crap around me.
One of the movies that got me into horror that just popped in my head when you were mentioning the monsters was a movie called The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. You remember that one?
Is that Don Knotts?
Yes, it is.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since I was like 10 years old, but that was a movie that I fell in love with.
There was rumors they were going to remake that with like Jim Carrey.
Oh.
No.
What are they going to remake next? The Nude Bomb?
Oh.
Remember that one?
Maxwell Smart.
Oh my god!
What were like some of the books that you read in that sort of transitional phase from kid to like what were some of the first horror novels? You wrote Death's Disciples.
Well, I like I said, it was I really got into Clive Barker, and probably through high school I read everything Clive Barker did, and he was a huge influence on me at the time. And it was around that time I actually started Death's Disciples. Didn't get it published for 15 years after that, but
you did eventually.
20 years.
You can see the artwork on Amazon. There's a Clive Barker feel to the
yes.
to the artwork,
Exactly.
so that's pretty cool.
What did you think of a Magica?
It kind of lost me.
I was expecting. I read a Magica when I had mono, and I had nowhere to go. And I was even bored then.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna build a battleship.
Yeah, no, I kind of, his later works kind of lost me a lot, but yeah, Clive Barker still, when someone asks me who's my favorite writer, I still say Clive Barker right away. And it's like, eh. But his stuff in the
80s was just superb.
Although I am interested, I just saw that he just revisited the Hellraiser universe, so I'm interested to see that.
Yeah, me too, because it can only make it better. Because it went off the rails. Oh my god.
Yeah, that Hell World's one of the worst I'd ever seen.
Oh, just terrible. Terrible, terrible. So, you're too old for Goosebumps.
Yes.
You missed the Goosebumps thing.
I did. My sister got into them, though, and I ended up reading some of them to her as she was growing up.
Now, you read those, and, like, kids die in those books.
Right. Get their heads cut off and everything else, yeah.
Yeah, so they're not all pleasant. And I've met R.L. Stein, and he's like the nicest guy you'll ever want to meet. The most unassuming billionaire I think you'll ever come across. In your book, in the book that you did you... Well, I guess because it's for younger kids, so you didn't go as far as he went. So.
No, not nearly. I tried to walk that balance of playing the parent and the kid game, entertaining both of them, and making it something that they both want.
Would you think of moving up to the next level and trying to do a middle grade where you could kind of be a little more evil?
I've been I've been tossing around the idea, but no, it's something that I'll continue to think about. It'll probably be something where, as my daughter gets older, I'll want to write something more for her. And,
yeah, you know what? Right now, you're in the perfect spot. She's 5 years old. That's an incredible vein that you can tap, and you've got instant recognition if what you're doing is the right thing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and she just melts me. She takes her book to school with her copy of it, and she shows it around. And people I don't even know at her school come walking out and saying, "Oh, you're her dad. You wrote that book, huh?"
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we all do it for our kids. When it's all said and done, it's all about you wanting your kids to not think you're such a dork.
Yeah, we always fail, don't we?
We do.
So are you even thinking about, I mean, your book just came out, so you've got to enjoy it and get out and promote it, but are you thinking about the next one, and are you going down the children's writing lane, or are you going to go back to the adult stuff, or are you going to play in both sandboxes?
I have another adult horror novel that I've written, and I'm looking to get it fine-tuned right now, and I'll start resubmitting it to the publishers. But and I have another one that I'm about halfway done with. So yeah, I'm still thinking I'm going to be more of an adult horror writer, but at the same time, I can't stop telling stories to my daughter. So as they come up, I'm gonna record them and see what happens.
That is such a way to do it. I wish I had that. I didn't have even thought of that.
That is tremendous. That's great. So
Now,
where's the best place for people to get Vegetarian Werewolf?
Well, it's up on Amazon, but it's a lot cheaper to actually go to the Werewolf Publishing website and buy it there.
Okay, we'll put that up.
I recommend that. Save yourself a good $5 to $7. So.
Oh, that's definitely. Now, are you going on a book tour, or are you doing a blog tour or anything for the book?
Well, I'm trying to do a blog tour right now, and I'm trying to kind of work my way into the book tour. I did a couple readings in Detroit over the weekend for the big launch, and now I got a couple scheduled here around town here in St. Louis. So yeah, I'm kind of working my way up to it. I'm really hoping to land a gig at Six Flags in St. Louis during Fright Fest. Reading.
Oh man.
They have that thing where they bring the kids off to the side that get too scared, then I can be there to read them one of my books and, keep the theme of Fright Fest alive, but not really scare them too much.
That's really cool. I hope you get that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been emailing the person who kind of runs that, and I'm hoping it works out for me.
Yeah, send them a link to this show.
Just keep pestering them until they say yes. That's how it worked with me.
That's kind of my goal.
Now, Jack, do you want to hit, before we go, do you want to hit on the... oh, wait, no, we hit on the movie. Never mind, on the documentary. We already hit on that.
Yep.
Yeah, we hit on that. So
that's where
I would just encourage people who have kids, or if you have friends who have kids, what a unique gift. Giving friends books of friends of yours have written is such a great thing. You're like, hey, I know the guy who wrote this.
Right.
And Hunter signs them for me when I give them to people and stuff. And it just makes it, with the Monster Men, it's great because they're, they see us and stuff. But some of the other guys that we have on, I like to give those gifts as books, and then people are like, man, you know some sick-ass people out there.
Well, that might make you not look so bad.
So this is great. You got a children's book.
At least not with this one. If you do Dust Disciples, it might...
Yeah. Don't confuse which book you're giving to who.
Right,
exactly.
right.
No, but that's great. And you know what? And don't wait for Halloween to give a book like that to somebody. I mean, kids appreciate it 24/7, 365 days a year, man. Especially at that age, 4 to 7. That's the age to get them hooked on books, and you just give them every book you can possibly get in their hands, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, Hunter and I encourage our friends who are watching this, pick up a copy, let us know what you think, post it on our Facebook page, send the link to other people, help spread the word. Monster Men's a great place for people to come and get an audience, so let's show them what we're made of, everybody.
That's right. Fire, so help me God, will come to your houses.
Yeah.
I want that.
Would it kill you to click like once in a while?
And then when you read the book to the kids, by New Year's Day and have the music playing on in the background and really scare the crap out of the kids.
Yeah, show the top flap of your hat.
What? Creep! Signed by the band, baby. I'm still 15 years old.
Yeah. You want to see my Jonas Brothers shirt? I've got it back here somewhere.
Jonas is a dream.
I got my Jonas Brothers underwear on. You want to see it?
What shirt?
Speaking of shirts, I got my
nice.
Werewolf t-shirt on.
That's almost like wearing the sandwich board sign.
Right.
Buy my book. Buy my book.
Yeah, we got to do what we have to do, right?
Awesome. All right, well, I think that's a wrap, boys. So, Robert, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Hunter.
Hi.
See you next time on
Monster Men. Hey.
Grr, arg.